Welcome back to the Rules of Engagement, guys. Before we jump into our next segment, the Hellbat Reloaded, let me tell you guys a little bit about a couple of opportunities for you guys. So the first one is going to be the MLG Pro Shop. So as you can see here, you can find a lot of different cool apparel you can buy. And one of the special things here is if you click on the gift packs. Click on that gift packs. There's a bunch of different combo deals. You can click on each of those combo deals and figure out exactly what they entail, but it's all multiple products for a single price. To find out more about these offers, go to mlgproshop.com. So another opportunity I want to tell you guys about, this one involves not spending money. This one is go to facebook.com/mlgpro. Click on the Dr. Pepper Ultimate Gaming House icon, and then scroll down and you can see how you can enter into the Dr. Pepper Ultimate Gaming House contest. This will take a few minutes of your time, make a short video, tell why you're the ultimate gamer, show a short clip of a room that you want to be remodeled into the ultimate gaming room, and then you can submit that via this website at facebook.com/mlgpro, and you have a good chance to win your dream gaming room. They'll deck it out with everything you could possibly want as a gamer in that room. Only takes a few minutes of your time, and if you win it, you'll be very thankful that you did enter into that. So now let's jump into the replay. Let me got a little bit more ahead than I wanted to be. Let's start this off at around the 6-minute mark. It's going to be right there. And the first things I want to talk about is one base hellions play, like trying to see how you can work hellions off one base. We saw in the last game I really worked off 2 base and worked out well. So this game we'll try it out with 1 base. And then we'll move on to basically deciding when and how to engage your opponent when using hellions. And then we're going to talk about how you can defend a counterattack. If you're doing a lot of hellion harass, you might be weak at home. So how to try to figure out how to make that counterattack defendable. So let's jump into the replay now. We're going to look at it from the 6-minute mark. So I'm going to focus on a 1-base hellion build. What I did is I opened it up with the the reactor factory. Then of course I got a armory, and then I'm building a second factory to reactor out. So it's very all off one gas because I want to build basically exclusively hellions. Really want to focus on the minerals there because hellions of course cost minerals and no gas. So the other thing you want to do is if you want to get optimal production on your factories, make sure to build that reactor on the barracks. Because then if you build the reactor on the barracks, there's no downtime on the factories. As soon as they're up, you swap it with the barracks. As you can see here, we'll fast forward this a little bit. As soon as that factory is up, you're going to lift it up. A little bit slow there. And then swap it on there. There's no downtime. Your factory is instantly there, producing 2 units at a time, as opposed to, if you're going to build the reactor on the factory itself, you'd have to wait for that to complete before you get that operational. So meanwhile, I'm going to be massing these hellions. And I wanted to experiment seeing if I could just win off a single base with just pure hellion play, seeing how strong they actually are in this game. So when you're trying to run it with hellions, you're trying to decide when and how to engage. It's kind of, there's a lot of considerations. One is, should I go for probes, should I go for units? There's a general good idea is if you have twice as many hellions as they have gateway units, you should go engage. Now, as you can see here, I lost a lot of time transforming modes in that engagement. So once I got into Hellbat mode, I actually did very well there. If you look at units lost, 273 to 750, and some of that was I canceled a building there from a mistake in the early build order. So even though there's a 4-second transfer time during that process, as soon as they get in Hellbat mode, if your opponent has units close to you, they're all going to die pretty much instantly because that's just what Hellbats do. But the problem is that transform time. So if you notice there, it worked out kind of okay. But if my opponent is fast enough, if I don't get a full surround, they can kite away from the hellions while they're transforming to Hellbats, then your Hellbats will be stuck there with nobody next to them to absolutely destroy. So you got to be a little bit careful. I mean, the Hellbats trade very well, but the transfer time is time-consuming. And I'm not sure if I'd advise transforming your guys in the middle of an engagement. You can see here, I try to get a surround, right? I transform mode, but look at all that time, and he's able to back his units out, right? So while I still get, actually, it's still kind of, even though there's only like 4 that got up, I actually still killed like 5 stalkers. So Hellbats are still really good, but because of that transform time, I would have been better off probably running away and then coming back later with more enough that I could get that full surround. I mean, if you notice there, I wasn't quite as cost efficient. I'm only trading, I was at 270 versus 750, so I traded about a 1-to-2 ratio in that engagement, whereas really with Hellbats, especially 1 base to 2, if you're on 1 base against 2, you want to try to trade as optimally as possible. So I'm going to continue to make more and more Hellbats. I decided I'd take a pause here because I saw he had a mothership core out. I know I couldn't put on too much more pressure. I decided I'd pause for a second and get that extra command center, right? So I say, you know what, maybe I can't totally kill him with Hellbats, but I've done enough damage that maybe I can now expand behind it. And if you look here, just he's just trying to move out here. I'm going to try to come in here, get a couple kills. Of course, you notice I'm not transforming because he's backing up. If he transforms to Hellbats, they're just going to end up too far away from him. So I'm going to come in for another battle, and this time I'm just trying to pick off a couple of units and go for run by. So this is an engagement where I lose 4 to 5 Hellions trying to get up the ramp, and that might have not been advisable. If you remember looking at units lost tab, I was at like 900 to 1800. Now it's 1400 to 2500. That was even losses. And even losses is not that great unless I can do great damage with these Hellions inside his base. If these Hellions do damage, I'll be significantly ahead. If they die without doing much, I'll be significantly behind. So it's really going to determine, or not, I'll be somewhat behind. It's really going to determine how the game goes. So I'm able to get a couple more probes. Not a whole ton though. And this is a really awesome move that my opponent did right here, is this time warp ability. Because now I can't chase the probes. I have a hard time retreating. I'm stuck between an army here and army here, and I lose absolutely all my Hellions, and this is what makes that run by not just a great idea. So let's actually back up here and think. I didn't even think that time warp, like, I haven't played enough HOTS to really even think time warp was something that would happen. So let's actually think about different ways that could have played out that little engagement. Let's get back up to where it is right here. So as I'm coming in here, I decided to try to pick off a couple stalkers and then go for the run by, right? In fact, let's fast forward just a little bit more. We can see I'm going for this run by here. And this is the point where I try to kill stalkers and get the run by. So one thing I think I should have done, actually, because realizing time warp is a possibility, photon overcharge is a possibility as well, and all these things could really do a lot of damage to you. But the Mothership Core can only be in one place at a time. So I think a better way for me to play this would have been if instead of sending all my units up here, right, I could have just sent a small portion of my army up there, and I could have sent, maybe let's say I have 6 Hellions, right? I could have sent these 3 guys to go this way, right? And then these 3 Hellions right here, these guys should have gone back here. And then he's stuck in a tough spot because 3 Hellions can still one-shot workers, right? And he's still got to, unless they're SCVs. SCVs are big and buff. But 3 Hellions can one-shot a probe. So he's stuck where if he only sends like 1 or 2 stalkers to chase my army, 1 or 2 stalkers will kill 3 Hellions pretty slow, get a lot of damage done. He really needs his whole army to really focus down Hellions. But if I split my army up, he can't have his whole army at both spots. So I think, and then of course, I would come around here and swing over here. I think this would have been an option that would have pretty much won the game for me. I don't think what he had could have dealt with me splitting up Hellions, and assuming I had good enough control to control both sides, which is probably not accurate. I'm not that great with Terran yet. But if I did, that would have been the optimal move to really get the most benefit out of Hellions. Try to spread him out. Because this is where I was thinking I want to directly engage him, but I should have been thinking, well, I should just go for the probes. And because I tried directly engage, at this point I realized I probably can't quite beat this. Although actually, maybe if I transformed to Hellbat mode, I might have just killed everything there. I don't know. Probably I should have just transformed. Anyways, I made that mistake. He pulls off that great time warp, and that was something I did not anticipate. And now all of a sudden, if you look at army size, he's got a huge army size advantage. And it's interesting because we look at food. I'm ahead in food, but remember, Hellions are like roaches, right? They're not real food. Like you'll have more food than you actually have because just because they're not actually they're so cheap, right? So you can get like 1 billion of them with no cost. So I come in here where I know he's in the main, try to get a couple more probe kills. I should have been satisfied with the 2 probe kills and backed away. That was another mistake, losing another Hellion here. So I'm getting kind of sloppy here, throwing away a lot of units. And I've got to really be worried about that counterattack because I know, you know what, I'm ahead in econ. I've killed a lot of probes throughout all these attacks, right? But he's got this giant army coming at me. So what I should be doing is, this starport's pretty cool, but I should be building some Marines out of the barracks. I should be building maybe some Widow Mines to supplement my army, and I should be building maybe a bunker, and I should not try to hold this low ground, right? I should just purely focus on holding a high ground concave. And then if he contains me, I can counter him with draw plays, so he can't really run and contain. That's really that's the mistake I made. Instead, I'm thinking, you know what? I should just go kill more probes, because that's always fun. So I see him moving out. I try to do the loop around, and I'm figuring, okay, I can loop around and kill a lot of probes. But one thing to keep in mind is that when your opponent leaves their base, counterattacking is really tempting, right? I know, okay, he left his base. He has no defense. I'll just run in here and kill the probes. He can warp in a couple guys. I'll just ignore them and kill everything, right? That's really tempting. But the most important thing is not to kill him, because if we look at this, I'm already significantly ahead in economy. I've got good infrastructure set up. The most important thing is for me to survive back at home, right? So right here, I should have had those Hellions getting ready to help me survive back at home. I should not have had them on the counterattack, because yeah, the Hellions can kill the 2 Stalkers, and I can kill some probes, and then run here and kill more probes. But he already has a few probes. I should really focus on just my defense. I should also not be teching so greedy. I didn't manage to gas it well. I should have taken a lot of guys off gas. I was trying to do a transition to Ravens because they're cool. But I really should have recognized in the state of the game I should be trying to transition to Ravens. I should just make sure I don't die and I'd be way ahead. So here we can see what happens is my SCVs all get stuck, and they kind of just sit there and I'll die. And then he just proceeds to walk in here. I don't have quite enough guys to deal with him. Another great time warp there, making kiting of the Hellbats very, very effective. And in open ground, the Hellbats can't deal with kiting units very well. And he just dismantles me, kills everything, and proceeds to win the game. Meanwhile, I was able to kill a couple more workers here, but he eventually clears it up. So I mean, we can see here he's down to 18 workers, which is basically nothing. But even with 8, if I had 2 mules, I'd be fine. But the fact is I just can't beat this army, and he goes through and cleans me up here. So what I should have been doing here, because I said, it's tempting to run run a counterattack, but you really should focus more on your solid defense. Let me get us back to where we were before. He tries to move up. So when he's moving across the map and attacking me, the ideal thing right here is to try to set up the flank, because we talked about how Hellbats beat everything if basically they can get up close to your opponent, right? They beat everything. But they're weak to kiting. But when your opponent has to attack, and they have to go through certain chokes to attack you, that's your opportunity to set up massive flanks where you can surround your opponent, and of course they can't move away. Time warp or not, the Hellbats will destroy their army. So in this replay, what I really should have been doing here is I should have set up a really cool flank. So assume these Hellions were right here or something like that, right? As soon as he gets his guys up on my ramp, I should have been waiting. Because I knew he was moving across the map. I could grab maybe this many probes, to grab all the ones off gas, right? And then a couple more here. Grab five workers, plus these guys, and put them right here, and then put these both factories to rally points right here. And then what I do is I grab these SCVs and the Hellbats, and then right when he's stuck over there, right? Let me erase this nonsense. Right when he's kind of stuck on the ramp, right? I could just hit SCVs here. I could lower this depot, and I could just hit him from here, and I could hit him from here. And if all his blue guys are stuck here, the Hellbat AoE is just going to absolutely wreck them all. And then, of course, if he brings in the rest of his army, I just do the same thing. And SCVs are actually fast. So the SCVs, even if he was into open, even if he was, let's say he's able to back up to here, SCVs are faster than the Immortals and the other units. So I can surround those easily. The Hellbats can shoot over the SCVs, finish them off. And then the Stalkers alone aren't as big of a threat. So I really could have played that a lot better with focusing on my defense, setting up a good flank, and maximizing usage of Hellbat, which is when they get up close and personal, and your opponent's units are stuck and can't run away. If I did that, I would have won this game. Unfortunately, my eyes got big. You see, counterattack. My eyes got big, kill more probes. But really, I had already killed enough probes. I had to focus on the army, and kind of went a little bit south this game and ended up losing it. So that wraps up this segment about how to use Hellbats in some situations and how to use them in others. Make sure to use them for defense as well as offense. We'll take a short break and be back for the next segment, which is going to be a Terran versus Zerg on Hellbat Revolutions.